Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam. Come on and slam, if you wanna jam.
The air is salt sweet as October oysters, words lost like sandbirds among wind statuary, sculpted driftwood. The shore's indigo palette unfurls a halo of evening flame, firewood flowers in riddles of thorns. This ocean landscape is my balm, my panacea. That in a single day, our world's gauzy magic is flattened by a spire drowning hurricane. Flower gardens vanish beneath churning water. Unexploded histories exhumed in the flood. Mutinous winds play coast. White boats lumped in the bay like butchered crabs. Piles of distorted, broken concrete falter. Pines pierce homes, crush cars, bruise hearts. Television broadcasts cascades of sand. My wrecked doll searches for anchorage, but this lee shore landscape is too battered to salve my flapped emotions. Canals overtake streets, ferry debris, as if Atlantis was our forgotten sister, inviting Poseidon to fork the flesh from our bones. The strength to bloom, Dark Corner, South Carolina. The sun rolls across the sky like an overdyed Easter egg in May, and the red dirt children are turned loose to throw their gravel. The chickens scratch among the fleas and macaroni leftovers. The raccoon sits a few paces back in the woods, eating crusts of stale bread. The trash is still strewn across the porch like a forgotten parade, while the man is busy in front windows with wrinkled tinfoil. The woman is still asleep on the mattress, and the soup can awaits the hands of a 6-year-old who can barely write her name, but is expert with a can opener. The rough speckled fridge whirs at a great speed to preserve an almost empty bottle of ketchup and a jug of ammonia. The yellow phone hangs mute at the crescent moon, severed, alone. Outside, a lost stand of daffodils pushes their green necks up, but never has the strength to bloom. Eva, Cassidy, silken songbird, shimmering glitter of a lady, her voice blossoming like a pink azalea sunset, while cancer smoldered her body like a cigarette in an ashtray. Just 30, she floated out notes like stars into the murmurs of obscure jazz dives, galaxies of jazz bebop and bossa nova. So young, her quivering lips forming an O, she never understood her own value, never understood that she was already enough as she floated out notes, galaxies of jazz bebop and bossa nova. The sickness eroded her dreams, her low self-esteem, giving her the blues. The tear on her cheek holding back a tide while she walked through golden fields of music. The piano was her rescue boat as waves of cancer lapped at her heart. Her voice was a bridge over troubled waters, galaxies of jazz bebop and bossa nova, but she was a butterfly born into an early frost, beautiful, unerring in its perfection, but too soon lost. Her hands beating out the syncopated rhythm of a soul fighting to take flight like a songbird in the night. She lives now eternal, a talent that never knew her own worth. May her voice live in golden fields of jazz. May her beauty ride each note in galaxies of bebop and bossa nova. Silken songbird, Eva Cassidy.
This is dedicated to the Carolinas, to the poets in Carolina. We are mountains. We are volcanoes. heroes. And my poems are summits and peaks of honesty and reality. We are poetry, a mountainous region reaching into the depths of the sea, made up of various geological structures, expressions, and terrains, including volcanic landforms. I am a force of nature. We create lands poetically, and life lives off us. It lives in and around us. I swear beautiful sights surround us. We affect weather patterns, and we laugh at the waters of hurricanes when they crash against us. Reason being is because those trials and tribulations we go through shape and they mold us. We love the way it feels when the skin of gale force winds rubs against us. Our slopes are spectacular. Our hills are monstrous. Our villages are ravenous. We have legions of lakes. And we're covered with cliffs and chasms. Yes, we envelop the Alps and the Appalachians. We're doused with visions of valleys. We are unmovable. We are a massive mountain, and our hands are stacks and heaps of hope. Our shoulders are sheets of rock. Our minds are a mound of memories made with teeming with powerful thoughts. We are volcanic like Mount Vesuvius. Plus our lips are constantly erupting with molten matter. We hold the skies in our arms, and our notebooks are a mountain of magma that is constantly flowing, that holds the truths of our heart that only we can impart. We write so that we can grow. We write so that we can inspire. We are a mountainous region, reaching into the depths of the sea. Our poems are summits and peaks of honesty and reality. We write, y'all, so that we can inspire generations, change people's lives, shape and restructure the course of history.
Sometimes cigars are just cigars, like Freud said. A boy turned man still sleeping in mom's bed. Sometimes I pine over the fact that I'm not dead. I'm well-read, educated, full of enough cred, abilities to command synthetic symmetry. It's humbling, the essential part of me nobody likes to see. When it rears its head, everyone is an enemy. They're filled with enmity. The animus is on a CD that looms on loop in the back of my brain electronically. I'm hopelessly paralyzed. I know there's something wrong with the way I feel about everything. I plead, what is wrong with me? As blaring siren peal repeals my rationality. Can I hope for change? And is it fixable, this part of me? The play's the thing, and I always hate not knowing how to be. I'm sentient, fully aware, and beginning to see exactly how I smile and wave to hide misplaced anxiety. I shouldn't be around other people. I'm a flight risk, subtly climbing in their head and hiding there like a benign cyst. It's devilish, I'm charming, but I'm also selfish. If I sell fish, I'm fishing my hand in the charity jar for $1.06. Why should they get it anyway when they don't pay rent? I've given enough to hospitals. At this point, it's ridiculous that I should break my back to piss away my hard-earned bucks to this. I have a sixth sense that says I shouldn't give my 6 cents to sick kids. My neurons fire across crisscrossed lattices. I follow up cogent thought with non sequitur tangents. It's uncanny how I link things and expect others to manage or even fathom the fathoms deep hair holes of a mind manic. But even the best distractions must retire. When the thrill is gone, life returns with a tire iron. I'm convinced that in a past go, I must have played with fire and stoked the ire of a being higher than I after inhaling a rail of barbed wire. The bump leaves me elated. Glory sings the choir. It trains its eyes on me, but I'm so goddamn tired. My vision narrows and I cannot seem to sire a plan to emerge victorious from the quagmire. What can I say? Self-amnesty is hard for me. In my cardboard packaging, grace came hardly. I was dropped a drop on the doorstep of a house party where I graced a happy home, God's most unfortunate adoptee. What's the point of giving good things given heartily when for some non-inchoate part of me, my success is not what it wants to see? I've lost morale before, but these wounds bleed mortally. I'm morally opposed to not stopping the problem, but the problem's me. Hello, how are you? I'm pleased to meet you so cordially. You can call me Icarus. Please avail yourself of my canopy. From my perch, I view the earth with utter apathy. Colors and shapes I can't relate to threaten my sanity. I'm not really a part of your world, only partially. Insofar as my being here, bereft of any sincerity, can seriously be considered as more than anomaly. And verily, is he a waste of imparity, he who cares nothing for his own posterity? I've given myself too many reasons for new austerity. My own polarity pollutes my life with too much severity, self-barbarity of endless temerity and disparity. Hospice can provide me no care. I mean, this is verity. If this is really it for me, there's no angularity. I understand the decision to cease my cellularity. And if things do go that way, I can tender meager clarity in the form of 4 more pseudo-sonnets offered voluntarily.
She said, "Will you go with me?" And I said, "Yes, of course." I was barely 18 and I had no idea what any of it meant to her or to me. And then I saw hatred in their eyes. I heard the hatred in their voices. I saw hatred on their signs. I felt their hate slide inside me like the speculum my friend was there to survive. It seemed an eternity from my car to the door. And I walked that gauntlet with my heart on fire, sheltering her behind me. And I remember thinking to myself, no more, no more. To the people who think they own my vagina, your stubborn refusal to acknowledge my rights left me stuck between legal doctrine and media sound bites. You are blind. If you think you get to be in charge of what I have between my thighs, you created your paper tiger of Judiciary Inc. But what part of history have you tried to ignore that you think you can own the life of another? Dictate to my ovaries, want to orchestrate the orchids of my female flower? A mad conductor to my fallopian tube sonata? Let me preach some truth to your medulla oblongata. You can't control us. And your ignorance is showing if you think we will bow down to a bunch of clowns trying to tell us you have the right to legislate what I can and cannot do with my own body. Try to make me the living intestate. You need to listen up before we erupt. Who told you that you get to play God when I'm the one with fire of creation overflowing my cup? You don't have clout to run game like that. Do not proselytize my uterus or try to bend my free will to enjoin yours. You can wallow in ignorance if you choose, but don't go cry to your political party when I choke you out playing tit for tat. You plant your seeds without the thought for the future of the crop, then exit stage left, abdicate responsibility, leaving us with an unbearable choice. And you seem to believe that now you have some say over the decision. How dare you question me when you were the one hopped up on delusion? We will grieve in silence away from your view. You don't get to see how the choices we had to make in this world weigh on us. We exclude you. You take patriarchy to the extreme and use religion to regulate the aftermath of our verbs you wanted to conjugate. But I got news for you, troglodyte. You want to overthrow the queendom of our wombs? You may think you like to do, but baby, you don't run that room. I'm not your political cause celeb, and you will not climb to fame on the rungs of my scarred back. I stand forth, holding aloft my fist, shoulder to shoulder with my sisters. We are angry, and we will commit to launching our juggernaut against your selfish, ignorant tide. It is you who will find out who's soft in this fight for the survival of our mastery over our bodies and our rights. Push us again, and you won't like the boundaries we lay. You will not rule us like we are chattel. Try to dictate your rules to us as if we are cattle to be prodded by the long arm of your law. Get your gavel out our business. I'm pulling it out the depths of my craw, where you shoved it down my throat, mowed down the wisdom of the double X that 50 years gave us to grow. Try to preach dogma to our bodies, subjugate our free wills. You need to think long and hard about what you're going to do when we bring our storm to your hill, because we will no longer tolerate interference with our elemental flow. As women, we will work together to make sure no man can control what happens when the flow of our menses ceases to bleed, because only we can craft our futures. And when it comes down to hard choices, I will execute my own destiny as I so decide, because my body doesn't belong to you. My body is mine. It cannot be misdirected, mistreated, or misused, undermined, misappropriated, co-opted, or abused. We have had enough. Mothers, daughters, witches, and queens. So to the men who think you own our vaginas, sit down and shut up and listen to your mama.
There you are, grabbing hold of that mutant boomerang of the video game controller, eyes glued to the radioactive gaming screen, thumbs resting firmly on the controller stick and A button, barrel rolling and blasting away at the forces of intergalactic evil in Star Fox 64. You're freaking out in joy like the honeycomb mascot because the controller is vibrating because of a new thing called a rumble pack attachment. Then when all of a sudden it's 3:30 and you are not going to miss Pokemon on the living room 32-inch Panasonic. So you rapid dash your way towards the living room couch, diving with TV remote and cable box remote in hands, spinning an exact 180 degrees midair with flair as you descend towards the lumpy comfort. As you do, you simultaneously turn on both the TV and cable box with the channel already set. Nobody knows how cool a kid you can be behind the social awkwardness. You'll have growing pains and puberty and therapy, but enough of that. You waited your entire day to watch Pokemon. This is the time of day you don't have to worry about trying to fit in. Your fourth grade class pretended to like you for one day and threw you in the dirt the next. This is the time of day you aren't the loneliest kid in recess, playing kickball by yourself to drag. But later on, you'll end up rounding up other rejects and shoot basketball every day in fifth grade. This is the time of day you don't think about your dad, who will slip into a seemingly unbreakable depression, or all about how hard your mom is working to be able to sustain the family by herself, only to witness the statue of the woman rust away. But what can you do? You're 9 years old. You have some math, science, and language arts homework, but it can wait. It can all wait. Just make sure you fit in that healthy dosage of visual serotonin into your system and have fun as you turn on, tune in, and drop out with Pokemon.
Oldest trick in the book, right in front of you, but you never looked. Took everything that wasn't nailed down and left you with a stupid look. The original crook sold their integrity for drugs, high heels, $1, and a smirk. Original smartass in hiding from God, karma, and detectives. Could detect innocence a mile away, but astray from the truth. 9 lies complete the day. The original sinner, they know it's wrong, but they do it anyway.
stops from Jupiter and across the street from heaven, I met you. And I get you didn't want just anybody to get you, but I want to get you to understand that I'm going to make it my life's work to try to stay your man. You make Jennifer Lopez and Scarlett Johansson look average. Baby, my love for you is full blown. You're my costilla, my rib. For me, loving you is genetic. You're in my blood. You're in my DNA. And there's no MD, PhD, or CNA that can convince me any differently. Because you and me got more chemistry than college lab class. And the feelings we have for one another are going to last longer than a wedding album. And people are going to say regarding us that he can't live without her and she can't live without him. An album will be written, inspired by the care we share for one another, because we're closer than any sister and brother or son and mother or any other love this earth has ever seen. Though I'm not a king, I'm going to treat you like royalty and loyally give you all that I am, because I trust you. And I wish I could fall in love with you again 1 billion times, and at the same time write you 1 billion rhymes that expresses the depth of my love for you. But it's impossible to use language, whether verbal or written, to tell how I'm smitten by you. And then too, I'm willing to travel this earth 1,000 times. I'm willing to fight with 1,000 lions. Yes, this is the truth, no lying. And from the depths of my soul, I'm trying to show you that I need us, bleed us. Girl, I eat, live, and breathe us. And I always will.
I was never the early bird, but the invader worm in the apple of your eye. That's how I thought I came to be defined. My mother's ancient doctor, who was just an MD back in the day, when I was about to be dropped vaginally, dropped pearls of wisdom for his time when she implored him the process to hurry. To this his reply was, when the apple is ripe, it will fall from the tree. His cliches were received as rotten apples and oranges to this overly ripe, filled with baby, impatient girl of 18 who liked to eat much more than these offerings. An apple a day did not keep the doctor away. Be careful of what is contained inside as we search for knowledge. Gift to teacher, I read somewhere that the skin of the apple is where most of the pesticide resides, so it is best to peel before consumption and to avoid the seeds which contain arsenic. This apple can no longer be considered a healthy snack. Did the doctor know this fetus figuratively poisoned the tree that bore her? I wonder if she felt the baby move, the pen, writing from the inside out of her trunk. Did she ever imagine being immortalized through the poetry of her progeny? Did she confess? I keep messing up this one line every damn time. I should just change it because I mess it up every time. Sorry. She did confess to me that I was a difficult baby and cried continuously, interrupted her sleep even at my arrival at 4 a.m. Today, insomnia woke me out of my bed to write this poem.
This year of 2016 is coming close to an end. Those who thought and suffered convoluted their minds into thinking this was the worst year of their lives. Those who agree that that opening statement have not truly lived in a decade, where eyes of totalitarian banality within their own prison have defined the last 10 years of decadent and desperation in their exhales. These creatures walk in a fog of illusion, a tunnel vision with false goals of unattainable virtues. And as a goldfish, they can only remember short-term current events and the commentary on the month's hot topic discussion that they can further add their idiocracy to. Specifically on this year of the blazing trail of the political spectrum, where no one man known or woman recognized in our personal social circles has ever had or held a podium, or held office with the power to achieve a grandiose vision of change for a country. Yet somehow everyone, everywhere during this time, has an opinion on something of the situation in the moment of time that they decide they can run the program better or smoother without any qualifications to those opinionated ideas that usually borderline the mindset of your eighth great grandfather's thinking pattern, who also happened to be an inbred slave trader. You can aptly state that any and all situations from the 18th to 21st century during these illustrious conversations were nil and input by their bias. Somehow, as months go on, the population of free spirits ignore the reign of terror amongst their neighbors, an era where civility died, where emotions were mass packeted into a marketing strategy for the soul, an outward calling of what we think one should express as a divine wall, quote, peddled out from the furniture aisle of Martha Stewart. This positive outreach program of words is vomited outward in a false sense of chromatic justice in the name of positive self-cleansing. Work on your mental health. Footsteps walk mimicking in the spirit of Maya Angelou, with the attitude of pseudo-hippies hidden behind the actions of our descendants, who are the greatest hypocrites in our training, as our war drum be the pounding of dollar signs and complacency. As much as my generation ostracized, outlawed, and stood against religion and the belief systems that our parents and those before us had come to bring, I find the same war heroes of my era are selling out for their fight of enlightenment and fear of spiritual sensitivity, growing older, trying to score inward points with an invisible friend, while adhering to ideologies they spent half their lives fighting a rebellion against. Now my generation is marketing themselves as an entrepreneurial ship opposed to living as real human beings. It's watching a rerun of histories, the Thomas Paines, as John Constable painting pictures of Henry Fords and everything we hated of business being built into the idea that these people have to be this thing in the middle of this age and want to invest in for the greedy goals of personal successes. I've watched these people turn themselves into something once commended into something of a walking monstrosity that's too far gone for amending. The artists of my era once had a voice. They once had something to say and had something to play on. They once had a vision. Now, every penmanship, every line drawn, every art created, every glass blown has no spark when viewed or listened to. You can tell whatever pays the bills is a slogan of thought across their works when you see them. The 20-somethings, the 30-somethings, the early 40-year-olds, the mid-50-year-olds are lost in transition from the failed efforts of their social ladder desires. To stand with a great mind now in this time period isn't to witness oneself in a mirror, but to realize we're all hunched over in a Darwinian paradox. The thumbprint wish to leave on the world is a dream saddened in the truth that dust gets blown away when a million cows stampede your homestead. Your thumbprint will not even be reminiscent as a smudge. And I think that someone should have told you sooner. Artists don't get the picture. Homemakers aren't Oval Office desk chiefs. Hardworking middle classes aren't the face of a new generation, the face of an era. The success of one person or many is deemed in this time period on who can fuck over who the hardest. And those of our time don't want to hear about this shit. No fucks given about topics. What doesn't pique interest is no concern. It's a city of deconstructionists and a constructive committee crucifying their culture. The roaring 20s died with the assumption and truth that talent and hard work get you somewhere. Back then, in those times, that's how it worked. But that died off in the name of progress and outsourcing. In the 1970s, that illusion was pressed into a Julia Child's cookbook on how to keep a lie alive for the plan to fuck the dreaming citizens on up into the 80s. By that time, my generation was born and everyone was already getting fucked so hard they couldn't even tell where they were getting fucked over. Everyone was walking around getting ghost dicked. So, like a mythic tale, a legend, a folk story of old, that illusion was passed down person to person, not as a face of a dragon or griffin, but as a facet of achieving anything you wanted to achieve without borders or restrictions or the Roman font print of another human standing between you and your vision. So if you still believe this year was the worst year in your life, I'd assume you're the type that trusts a blind man to walk you out into traffic while blindfolded at the crosswalk. You know the type. Those that claim the Holocaust was fake, like someone in 1930 decided to have the world's largest collection of secondhand shoes, or that slavery was an integral part to the agricultural upkeep from 1600 to, about 1964 to now, and that the Dark Ages wasn't so dark. You know those thought processes and all those little nuggets of wisdom I assume those people think or speak as they're all decked out wearing red slogan of Make America Great Again with matching Klan robes. And if you open your eyes at the crosswalk of life and take it all in, instead of staring only in one direction like you did half your life with a single directive, the sooner you realize everyone passes you by, then you might accept a direction to take instead of standing there all year like an idiot if you let it just sink in. I think the I'll prove you wrong mindset and idea of it was taken way out of hand in context in my generation. You would think the deluded would drown already, but yet somehow they're walking tall as kids in adult meat sacks. What a bunch of fucking idiots.